because I was a breakdancer, I was able to basically do a pirouette and end up and add this musical note to my death. Well, first of all, I remember choking. Well, because the rain machine that was coming down had huge goblets of rain. It was just, and you're on a backpack, so you're having to hold your head up and strain this death. I remember spinning around enough to be able to hit the piano.
You're gonna do the decent thing. We're gonna follow fucking orders. Take this goddamn kid. Come on!
And that just came from the breakdancing days. I swear to you, because I was a breakdancer, I was able to basically do a pirouette and end up and add this musical note to my death. I remember saying to Steven Spielberg, so precocious. You have to understand, this is the first experience that I had as not the director. So my mind was always thinking like a director, and I remember going to Steven Spielberg and saying, "Are you using C camera at all?" And going, "What?" And I said, "Can you put C camera up there on the second floor over there, just so you could see when I come down?" And I said, "Huh?" And the next day he put C camera up there. And that led to a conversation where he said, "When you're not filming, I'm giving you a camera to operate." And he actually gave me a 35 millimeter camera because he was always trying to champion the director in me, because that's where he initially met me. And the best thing I remember about that day was when I came back to my trailer. There was a note, a card, written by Tom Hanks. And he said, "I'm your biggest fan. It was amazing what you did. How did you get your eyes to change color?" This is before I ever did Bloodshot where my eyes are red, or before it's weird, strange, ominous, and definitely before Riddick's eyes were ever blue. He was obviously talking about something else, but he said, "Brilliant. How did you get your eyes to change color?" I love that scene, and I love that dance, and I love that song, and I love that set, you know? So that's the moment where you go, uh-oh. I thought this was just going to be a normal superhero movie, and this is getting a little intense and a little deep and a little heavy. Agreed. We don't see scenes like that in the DC or the Marvel universe, do we? Just a quick note, I grew up in New York City. I grew up in the meatpacking district. So it was a very familiar, every day going to school, I walked by the meatpacking district. When it was cold, you had to make sure you didn't slide off of the frozen blood on the sidewalk. And so it had for me this kind of interesting, reminiscent thing, which was interesting because it added more emotion to it. So you're taking something away from my home. Kevin Feige sent over a book of Marvel characters. My son pointed to the tree and said, "That's your dad." It was that beautiful moment that drew me to that role. That subtle but change, but just hugely significant moment that drew me to that role. And I thought that was pure genius on everyone's part, especially James Gunn. But while I was recording that, I remember being in the recording studio wearing stilts. And so while I was doing that first Groot, I did all my ADR wearing stilts. So my head was almost hitting the ceiling because I wanted to feel what it was like to be 9 feet tall. I remember Ron Meyer and I was so reluctant to go back to filming, and I just felt like I was going. I just felt like the studio was asking me to go back to a funeral, and I was so broken by it. But I didn't want anyone to use the tragedy as a story plot. It was so important to me that I remember Ron Meyer saying, if you don't want to go back, we'll just get the insurance and it'll be, we'll just take the insurance and we don't have to finish the movie. But that would be a shame because it's such a special movie, and it was a very, very tough moment. But there was some solace in the fact that we were able to protect from the natural whim of a producer or anyone to say, well, now you're going to go avenge a character and use it as a plot. And we were able to do something so beautiful and so classy. Might be the best moment in cinematic history, not just in my career, but in cinematic history. Men around the world were allowed to, everyone was able to cry, but men around the planet, for the first time in history, were able to cry together.